Greetings and welcome back to yet another episode of the Daily Run. And today we're playing as Eden. And it's that time of the year again that is 3 days before school, or I guess what I'm trying to say is that school is right around the corner. And that means that some things will change on my channel, which means I'll probably upload less, I'll probably upload more focused content if I'm actually gonna do it. And as always, I think it's a good idea to let you know and just reminisce a little bit about the past. Now, the past 3 months have been interesting. Like, for example, I think I've been sick for the entirety of 2 months, and for some reason I'm still sniffling. It's just crazy. I think it's just the rapid temperature changes, and not even sick, it's just my body is not used to it. I think I'm just getting old, to be honest, but you know, I can't say that out loud because people, if you say to someone as a 24-year-old, hey, I'm getting old, they kind of tend to look at you weird, especially if they're older, so you know, I never said that officially, so let's just keep this between us, but yeah, these last 3 months have been very interesting. And I guess what I want to talk about in this particular video is just a bunch of things, and also a bunch of things that probably don't make a lot of sense, and probably a bunch of things that maybe make a little bit of sense. But I guess the one thing, or like one topic I wanted to tackle is why I make YouTube videos in the first place. So this was a realization I had like in the past week or so when I was thinking about maybe which videos I should upload. And I came to a very stark conclusion, which is probably not all that too surprising. And essentially, when you make a video, or at least in my case, when I make a video, I always try to put like a positive, like a personal spin on it. This might not actually seem all that, might not seem like, if you just watch my videos, I don't think it's something you would actively notice, because they tend to be a little bit formulaic, and I'm sorry for like the long pause there trying to think of what to say, but it's something that I don't think is very easily noticeable, because yeah, a lot of videos are formulaic. Like, for example, the Life is Strange playthroughs or the Dark Souls playthroughs, it's just me playing the game, commenting over it, so it's not like you can get any extra added value by me making that video, except I guess for my commentary. But whenever I do make something, I make it in the sense which I would enjoy it, or at least in the way I would respect the IP I'm trying to talk about. So in the case of Life is Strange, for example, it's a game that's very dear to me. It holds a very special place in my heart. So what I wanted to do when I did my original videos on it, and as I went through the season, I wanted to commemorate that in some sense. I wanted it to be a little bit of a funny playthrough where I could maybe rap a bit, not rap, but just make fun of, I guess, the game when it's a little bit silly, or when it's a little bit cringe, or maybe if the dialogue is a little bit inappropriate, and that there's a lot of that in that game, so I figured it would be fun. But at the same time, I never wanted to lose that touch of just how special and emotional the game can be in the right circumstances. So I just wanted to make a video that encapsulates both of those feelings correctly. Now, I'm not sure if that is what actually ended up happening in the end, but that was what I was going for, and I think that for me personally, it's gonna be a really good look back when I actually try to make more videos, just to see how far I've come as a person trying to express themselves through this art form of some sense. Not art form, but a video form. I suppose making videos in some sense is an art form, although maybe a little bit more constraining than any other versions of art form. It's not exactly like making movies, right? Because you're basically doing videos on something that already exists. You're just adding an extra layer on top of it, so you have less room to maneuver and just less room to express yourself. But still, there is some self-expression there, and I want to encapsulate the feelings I'm trying to convey. In the case of Life is Strange, it's both the serene, emotional feelings that I got, as well as the cringy, funny, silly dialogue. I just wanted to keep both of those intact, and maybe I succeeded, maybe I didn't. But the fact that I tried, and the fact I had all of that recorded and that now exists, there's nothing like it, right? There's nothing like that in my memory. Like, a picture cannot encapsulate my entire playthrough, but if I actually played with the entire game, I just record every single bit of it as I'm actually talking about my feelings in the moment. That's like an ultimate journal entry, because it allows me not only to see how I was feeling at that moment, it allows me to see exactly what I was doing in that exact moment as I was feeling those things. So it will allow me to reflect and maybe improve on some of the techniques I'll try to do in the future. Now, if that is video making or maybe something else entirely, I'm not really sure. But that is one aspect of why I think making videos is fun, at least why I choose the games I do when I try to make videos like this. Another aspect is just memories, right? You tend to make something and then you're proud for making it, and it's like, okay, I finished this big project, I had a goal for myself, I decided I was gonna play through the entire Life is Strange, edit it, comment over it, and that might seem like fun, and of course to an extent it is, because otherwise I wouldn't do it. But for every hour of content that you see on screen, is like an hour of grunt work behind the scenes, which is just not too terribly fun. And that's editing, that's just audio compositing, just making sure everything sounds right. And those are things that don't really... You don't notice those things until they're not there, right? And again, I'm not sure if I succeeded in doing them, but I damn well tried because I want to be proud of what I'm actually working on. So in a sense, I want to have these videos as memories of what I used to do, or at least how I used to spend my time, and just as something to show to people who will come into my life inevitably in the future. It's like, oh, what did you do? You know, well, I made these videos, and actually about the games I really liked, and one of them is, for example, Life is Strange, or another one of them is Dark Souls 3, or whatever. And they'll see, oh, that's pretty cool, you know, they might like them, they might not, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is that it felt right in the moment. I'm a very expressive person. I like expressing myself. And video is one of those art forms. Again, I'm using the word art form here because I do think to an extent it's an art form. But, you know, just suspend your disbelief for a second if you don't actually believe it's an art form. I do use videos to express myself. And I think that's so very important to me personally. And I would like to urge you as well. Like, if you're the type of person who maybe feels like they're a little bit alone in the world, or maybe you feel like there's something missing in your life, or maybe you just feel like you're not really understood, try to find a way to express yourself and just put your work out there in the public. It doesn't even have to be in the public, to be honest. You can just do it for yourself. You can maybe write a journal and just go from that. Maybe you can try drawing or whatever. Now, I think a lot of people get discouraged because as soon as you start trying to do something, you end up thinking, well, this is gonna turn out really bad. People are gonna ridicule me, especially in this day and age. I feel like internet back in the day was a little bit more accepting because everybody was just bad at everything. And now, of course, people got practice. People know what the accepted standards are. So it's a little bit harder to get into it, and of course it's also much harder to get recognition if that's what you're after. But still, I feel like the power of expression or self-expression in some sense is so important to a certain subset of people that just don't utilize it. It helps you process certain feelings, it helps you process certain emotions you were feeling when you were experiencing a thing. And if you ever feel really strongly about a particular subject, or maybe like a show or an anime or whatever, just anything that gets your heart moving, I assure you there are people out there who feel the same. It's just a matter of finding them. And because of the internet, we actually have a lot of options to get there and just discuss things that we love with other people who love them as well. It can feel very isolating to be in a place where everybody seemingly doesn't understand you, and I think that's a very common feeling to have nowadays. But it's equally on us to remember that we're not alone in this, and that if we want or need if we need this to lead a happy life, it's very much within our grasp to get it and to find people who are similar to us. Of course, you never have to expose yourself. You can always be anonymous on the internet. You can always talk to people under the guise of another persona or whatever. You don't even have to act like yourself, to be honest. I mean, as long as you're not mean, please don't be mean to others. I'm not trying to send a message you can be anonymous in the internet, you should be mean to other people. I'm just trying to say, if you don't feel comfortable exposing yourself as the real person you are, you can still pretend to be someone else. And of course, everybody knows that to an extent. I'm not saying you should hide who you are if you're not proud of it, because to a certain extent, every person has something in them that makes them unique, right? It's not something that might make you special in some sense. It's not something that will maybe necessarily make money, but everybody has the potential to see the world through their own lens and through their own eyes. And Life is Strange is a game that tries to encompass and message that to a certain extent. And I'm kind of quoting Mark Jefferson when he says it in the first episode. We all basically have the unique ability to see the world through our own perspective alone. Nobody else can do that. And I think to a certain extent, that really is a gift, and that is something that should be shared with everyone else if you're that kind of person. And if you have a way to express yourself, I would encourage you to do so. Now, I didn't want this video to get too life coachy because, you know, look at me, who am I to coach anyone in life? I don't think I'm a particularly good role model. You know, I'm just trying to do my best. But all in all, YouTube and videos and self-expression to me is very important. And as such, it also feels equally appropriate to make a video like this, just talking about things happening or the things that will happen. So I guess if we're on the topic, it would be a good idea to say what's going to happen in the future. Now, one good thing about this particular year, it's my last year of schooling, which is equally exciting as it is terrifying, is that I only have 3 subjects in this semester and only 2 subjects in the next semester, as opposed to having 5 like I did for the past 5 years. which means I will probably have a little bit more time to focus on other things as well. And certainly, if the need arises, I'm gonna make a YouTube video or two. I'm not sure how my schedule is gonna work out or if these uploads are gonna be consistent. If I do manage to find a schedule that will work for me, I'll try to maybe do 1 or 2 videos per week. I might even start a series which I maybe record on Sundays and then just upload throughout the week if maybe a certain game tallies my inner enjoyment. That sentence made no sense, but if a certain game catches my eye, I'll maybe try to make a video on it, if of course provided I have enough time. Now, I'm not sure if it's gonna work out like I think it's gonna work out. Obviously, life has a way of throwing you a curveball sometimes, and it's just a little bit unexpected. But maybe as a final reward or as a final testament, just to say how special you all are to me, for everybody who's watching this video, I decided to fight Delirium. And as soon as I entered that room, I regretted it, because this boss is a steamy crawl of bullcrap, let's be honest. So yeah, man, it was fun. The 3 months really passed by really quickly. I mean, they always do. This was like my first official summer break I've had in like 2 years, so it was. I didn't know how fast time passes when you're actually having a summer break. I guess time passes quickly no matter what. It's just about how we perceive it to pass. Whenever something is coming up that we dislike, or maybe that we're not really super excited for, or we know it's gonna be grueling work, then we tend to think of the time behind us as really quick, as opposed to the time that was maybe not as enjoyable, and then we think maybe it's a little bit slower. Obviously, time passes equally fast regardless of what you're doing, and when you look back on the past, like on the past year, it always feels like it's just passed in the blink of a moment. That's usually that's something I would like to avoid, but I'm not sure how to do it. So if you have like any good tips or tricks or trips for me, I would like to incorporate them into my lifestyle, because I don't want to feel like my years are passing by like in a blimp. But I guess that's just a part of growing up to a certain extent. Still, you know, the 3 months passed by pretty quickly, which I would say is a sign that things were relatively good, we're relatively happy, and I think that's a good sign. I think that's a good sign, to be honest. Sure, you know, maybe I didn't do everything I wanted to do, but whenever do we have the chance? I did enough things I wanted to do to feel content with myself. I finished some good series on YouTube. I actually talked about one of my favorite games, and now Life is Strange 2 is coming out, so I have something to be excited about. Now, if that game is really, really good, I kind of doubt it will be, but if it is really, really good, I might do a playthrough on it in the future. Because Life is Strange 1 is so special to me, then I feel like Life is Strange 2 only makes sense to do. But if it isn't, I might go something like in the avenue of Before the Storm. It's only 3 episodes, and maybe that will fit a little bit better with the erratic schedule I'll be having. And because those episodes kind of tie into the story of Life is Strange, I feel like you can wait a little bit longer. They're not as tense, they're not as mysterious, you know what's gonna happen, so it maybe feels a little bit better to wait in between as a viewer, but I'm not really sure how that's gonna work out. So again, a very meandering episode. This Binding of Isaac episodes in the past have been pretty much me talking about whatever I feel worthy of talking at that particular moment, and this one just felt right to talk about certain things, just meander a little bit and just maybe reflect on the time before us and the time that's about to come. I always, I have this new motto in my life, which I would like to share with you, and whenever someone asks you how you are, what you should say is, I'm better than yesterday and worse than tomorrow. And I'll try to do the same if you promise me to do the same as well. Just, you know, try to do your best. I'm really happy that everyone who's watching this is sharing this videos and the sentiment with me, and I'm glad that all of you have actually been following me up until this point and actually just interacted with me. Even if it's just asking questions, I appreciate them so much. Never stop asking questions. I would encourage you to do that, because by asking questions, that's the only way we will ever learn and ever get better. And I think that's a pretty good message to send out to the world. Just learning. Learning is pretty good in most cases, if it's about things you care about. I would encourage you to learn more about the things you care about. Okay, I don't want to finish this video, I just want to keep talking, but I know it already is starting to make less and less sense by the second. So I'll just finish this off by saying thank you so much for watching all of my videos that you've seen up until this point. I will be back. I don't intend on just abandoning YouTube forever, but you know, maybe see this as a parting goodbye. I will, in the words of Terminator, I'll be back. That was not a very good Arnold impression, was it? It's the effort that's important, okay? So I hope you enjoyed this one, guys, and I hope to see you next time.